Hello everybody. In this video, we'll be diving into the topic of virtual environments in Python. If you're not familiar with the concept, a virtual environment is a way to isolate specific Python environments on a single machine, allowing you to work on multiple projects with different dependencies and package versions without causing conflicts. Whether you're a beginner just getting started with Python or an experienced developer looking to improve your workflow, understanding and utilizing virtual environments is an essential skill. In this video, we'll cover the basics of virtual environments, including how to create them and activate them, as well as how to manage dependencies and packages within them. By the end of the video, you'll have a solid understanding of how to effectively use virtual environments in your Python projects. So let's dive in. Give it up, gonna be alright. So here I'm going to open up my Linux terminal and I'll type out the command for invoking the virtual environment script to be able to create your virtual environment. Now, if you're familiar with running Python scripts, normally you would write out Python and the name of the script with its extension .py. In this case, we're going to run that Python beginning part with a flag of .m, which means that we're going to be utilizing a script as a module. In this case, we'll be using the venv module, which you can find in the Python directory wherever you have it installed on your computer. And the last piece of the command is the location on where we're going to store the necessary files of the virtual environment. So for demo purposes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two folders here to show you different versions of Python or creating different virtual environments for different versions of Python itself. So just to show you, if I was to go here, Python 3 and type version, you'll see here with this, when I invoke the Python 3 piece, I'm running this at a version of 3.8.10. However, I also have another Python version on my computer, which would be run with Python 3.10, and we can see here that that invokes that puts the output at 3.10.9. So what we'll do here is I'm going to make two directories of test venv 3.8 and 3.10. So first let's jump into the 3.8. Change directories, 3.8. So just like I showed before, the way to create the virtual environment is Python 3.m venv.venv. And the one important piece to notice here is that I'm going to be using Python 3. The reason that I'm doing this is because I want to create this virtual environment using Python 3.8.10 as my Python version. So let's click enter. And if we come and take a look at the entire folder, you'll see that there is now a folder here that's called .venv. Let's go into that real quick. Clear that out and let's jump into cd.venv. Let's list out everything that's in here. Now, to understand virtual environments, you don't have to necessarily really understand what's going inside of this folder. But the one really important piece that we want to focus on is the bin folder, which is going to contain the activate script, which is going to give us the ability to activate the virtual environment itself. Additionally, I'd like you to focus in on the lib folder, which any kind of library or dependency that we install in this virtual environment, you'll see those scripts or those libraries get installed inside of those folders. so that whenever we install those libraries, they'll always be accessible when we activate the virtual environment. So let's come back out here and let's try to activate this environment really quickly. So since I'm on a Linux machine, you activate the Linux virtual environment a bit differently than if you were on a Windows computer. I'll leave some descriptions below in the details on how to do that. But for a Linux computer, this is how you would do it. You're going to do source. Now we're going to go to the path that I was describing before, which is in the bin folder, and we're going to run the activate script. And now if you notice, if we come over to the left, we have this parentheses here with .venv, which means that our virtual environment has been established and we're now working within it. So for fun, let's go into the REPL by just typing out Python. And if you can see here, we are on Python 3.8.10, and we're within our virtual environment. So let's quit out of there. Now what I want to do is I want to go to the other folder that we have, and I want to create the virtual environment using a different version of Python. So quickly what I'll do is I'm going to type the words out, deactivate, and apologize, I don't know how to type out deactivate. And once you type out deactivate, you see that we no longer have that parentheses right in the front, so which means that we're out of the virtual environment. And now let's come back out one folder, and let's go to the test 3.10 folder. And now, if you guys remember the command, I'm going to find it right here. Just come up a couple ones. And the only difference here that we're going to do is we're going to do 1.0. And if you remember, when we have the Python 3.10 prefixed in this command, this means that we're running with the Python 3.10 version. So let's click enter here. Beautiful. And now if we look once again, we now have that .venv folder inside of our test folder. And let's activate that really quickly. So we're going to do the same thing like we did before. Source, venv, bin, activate. And now you'll see that we have the .venv appended to the beginning of this statement, which means we're in the virtual environment itself. Now just to show very quickly the Python version within this virtual environment, we'll just very simply type out Python. Instead of going to the REPL, we'll just type out this command. And you'll see that we are running here in this folder and this virtual environment, the Python 3.10 versioning. So now what I want to do is I want to show you the virtual environment in action. So I have a script already pre-made for a chatbot. And what we'll do is we'll install the libraries that are required for this one, which is NLTK. We'll install that library within the virtual environment and run the chatbot. We'll show it being in use. And then we'll show that once we exit the virtual environment, we'll get an error if we try to run that same script. So here within the virtual environment, I'm going to run pip install nltk. And now you'll see that that library has been installed. And now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to create a file called main.py, or let's do chatbot.py. Let's jump into the file. And very simply, we just show. It's a very simple demo of a chatbot with a few commands here or a few replies to some simple statements that we'll do. And we'll converse with the chatbot and we'll show that in action. So now let's just quickly run Python chatbot. You'll see that. We'll say, hi, my name is T Money. Hello, T Money. How are you today? And then we can say, how are you? And great. The chatbot's doing great. I'm doing great. This is great. Let's quit. Bye-bye. Take care. So now let's deactivate. Spelled this right this time. And now let's try to run that chatbot with Python 3.10 without being in the virtual environment. And here you'll see that no module has been named, which means that within my Python 3.10, main Python versioning, I don't have that library installed. It's only installed within the virtual environment. So this really gives you the ability, an easy transportability when we're moving Python scripts and making sure that you're keeping lists of your libraries and your dependencies to be able to control that within a virtual environment. And it's just very much easier to manage and control those dependencies and libraries. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope this was helpful to all of you. Please comment below on any other tutorials you're interested in. Please like and subscribe to support the creation of more tutorials from Tommy Tech.